Hi there, folks. This is Sean Bardrick, and I'm here at the New Orleans Investment Conference 2019, and I'm speaking to Scott Close. Now, I've talked to him before on camera. He always has great insight to the markets because EMX Royalties, which is the company that he works for, it's a royalty and streaming company of all kinds of metals. So these guys keep their fingers on the pulse of what's moving around in the market. I just want Scott to explain his company to you, what they're doing, what's coming up, and also maybe give his insight on what's going on with the market generally. Scott, could you please speak to my viewers about EMX Royalties?
Of course. Thank you, Sean. EMX Royalties is a minerals royalty company, so you can have royalties on mining properties, much like you can have a royalty on an oil and gas property. So we don't engage in mining ourselves. Mining itself is fraught with a long list of risks, and it's also massively capital intensive. So really the best way we feel to play the mining sector and take advantage of metals prices is through royalties. We only want to collect paychecks. We don't want to go out and dig big holes and buy big yellow trucks and spend hundreds of millions or billions of dollars building and operating mines.
Right, and so you guys have made some great deals in the past. I mean, you're a prospect generator, really.
Yes.
You keep finding these great projects, building them up, spinning them off. You probably have had more success in the last 2 years than most other companies in this space. Isn't that right?
That's right. So we execute a different business model than the conventional royalty business model. The conventional model is to write big checks to buy royalties, and also oftentimes to borrow substantial amounts of money to do so, so they're taking on debt. We do use that a little bit, but our primary vehicle for growing our royalty portfolio is prospect generation. So we go out and acquire the prospective mineral real estates in a number of jurisdictions around the globe, perform some basic inexpensive exploration on there, i.e. we don't do much drilling ourselves, add value to the property. We find signs of mineralization or outright mineralization, enough so that we entice another party to come in and either buy or partner the property, and then we hold back a royalty on that. And as they're advancing that property, we're collecting fees for them. We're annual property payments, maybe advanced royalty payments, so we're collecting royalties on the property long before it ever goes into production, milestone fees, so if they come to production or a pre-feasibility statement, or they come to their first million-ounce of production of gold, those would be examples of milestones. Those would trigger a payment. And then if we manage the exploration on the property for the partner, then we garner a 10% management fee.
Okay.
So we get fees from a lot of things.
What are some large projects that you guys have actually handled before?
Well, one of the large projects that we handled, which was, we don't have a royalty on it, but it was we have three prongs to our business model. We have royalty generation, we have royalty acquisition, and we have strategic investment. Okay. So this would fall under a strategic investment. So we were involved in a very large copper gold discovery in Far East Russia. So that was owned. The controlling interest of that project was owned by a company called IG Copper. We owned 40% of IG Copper. And we invested over 7 years, $13 million into that project. We were able to monetize that property 1 year ago, and we realized a $69 million gain from that property.
Very nice. Speaking of money, this kind of work is much easier if a company has a lot of money. And as it turns out, EMX Royalties does have a cash pile, doesn't it?
We do. We have $55 million US in our treasury right now, along with about $4 to $5 million in marketable securities. And the way we get those marketable securities is when we partner or sell a project, oftentimes we take shares from that company as payment.
And so what's your plan, say, for the next 6 months to a year?
continue to execute the business model in terms of acquiring more properties, because we have a lot of appetite for our mineral properties around the world, and continue to vend those off and building the portfolio through that organic prospect generation model. And with that big treasury that we have, we're looking to buy cash flow right now. And by buying cash flow, I mean we're looking to purchase cash flowing royalties or engage in some other sort of strategic investment that would lend us immediate cash flow.
Excellent. Okay. So let's just look at the broader picture. What would you say are those metals out there that have the highest upside right now?
We like copper quite a bit, and we like gold, which happen to be our wheelhouse. And so I'm not saying that just because it's in our wheelhouse, but you know, we're in a negative interest rate environment, not here in the U.S., but much of Western Europe and certainly Japan is. And that seems to be gaining momentum. And I don't know how that whole thing is going to play out, but I'm confident in saying it is not going to end well. And of course, gold is a great insurance against financial catastrophes that I suspect this will end up as. So we like gold quite a bit. We also like copper. I mean, through the last several decades, if you take a look at the global consumption of copper, it increases by about 3% a year, year after year after year, regardless of the level of economic activity on a global basis.
Right, right.
We also like nickel, and we like platinum too. We think those are excellent places to be.
Yeah, and like there are multiple big trends lining up for all of these metals, really, and so they just have lots of upside that way. Well, that about wraps up what I wanted to ask. We should tell people that the symbol is EMX on the
EMX?
NYSE, right?
Yes.
And is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
Yeah, I would add that, you know, as a prospect generator, we've been able to partner or sell off more properties in the past 2 years by a wide margin than any other prospect generator in the sector. And that we've actually been able to partner and sell off 37 properties. So we constantly keep generating new royalties in that manner. Additionally, the CEO, David Cole, has purchased 438,000 shares of the stock in the past year. So if you see the CEO buying huge amounts of stock like that, that's probably, maybe it's a good idea that you follow him in there.
Well, you could say many things about it, but at least one thing is he thinks his stock is undervalued.
That's right.
Yeah.
Always remember, a CEO sells stock for a lot of reasons,
right,
but only buys it for one.
Right, because he thinks it's going higher.
That's right.
Well, that's about it for this interview. Thanks very much for speaking to my viewers. You folks stay tuned. I'll have more for you. From the New Orleans Investment Conference, this is Sean Broderick.